we're going to kind of combine cross-site scripting, watering hole attacks,
Okay.
and essentially mix that with Metasploit and some other things. And part of the reason I do this in classes now is because this is what we do with customers. When we go out and we do pen tests and we show them things, like for example, we find cross-site scripting on their website, just having Burp Suite run, do that cross-site scripting finding, and then tell them you have cross-site scripting, go fix it. A lot of times the customers don't get the urgency because they don't understand what that actually is. And no matter
Sure.
how much you talk to them about it, they don't get it. So I've kind of designed a little world here
I
where,
like it.
Camille's website here, Camille sells trinkets or whatever the case may be. And you have Camille's customers that visit that site, and we're going to use this to show what cross-site scripting is. Now, this is just a little overview before I get into the actual demo. So what happens is, Camille's customers will visit her site and absorb content. Now, let's say Camille's site happens to have a cross-site scripting vulnerability in there. So because of the way that, her developers design her site, she's got some cross-site scripting vulns in there. So what happens is Keytron finds those. And what that essentially allows Keytron to do is to put comments, like I can post a comment that basically, points to Keytron's website, my bad website. So I'm
Right.
able to post a script tag, or just even like I'll do it with an iframe. So we're able to post an iframe or a comment that says go visit Keytron's website. So now when one of Camille's customers visits Camille's website, they're now also loading a copy of Keytron's website, because what happens is when you visit a website, you're actually taking that entire HTML and you're pulling it down to your machine and you're loading it into memory on your machine. That's what your browser is actually doing, is it's pulling it down into memory so you can see it here. Well, guess what? That red that represents the bad thing that points to Keytron's website, you've now ingested that into memory on your machine because of this cross-site scripting
That's
vulnerability.
gone back with it.
Yep. So now what happens is that code that says go pull Keytron's site will execute. Suddenly now your customer, Camille, is loading a copy of guess whose site in memory, because I've got my site hidden in your site in the form of an iframe. So now that customer of yours has my malicious website in memory. And that malicious website simply runs code that says send Keytron command and control. And at that point, that machine is mine. It belongs to Keytron, because now Keytron can sit right on his machine here and just run commands that will translate over to this machine. So he's taking control of. So the point that we have to show customers is like, look, the fact that you have a cross-site scripting vulnerability and it says that it's a minimal or a medium vulnerability, that may be true, but you need to understand that for your customers, it's probably a critical, because you're not going to get exploited. I'm not going to be able to exploit Camille because of Camille's cross-site scripting vulnerability. I'm going to be exploiting Camille's customers or anyone else that visits her site. So once we explain that to customers, then they get it. It's like a light bulb comes on. It's like, oh, okay, now we see why it's a bad thing. So
Sure.
what I want to do is actually demonstrate to you how fast that can actually happen. Now, this is going to be your customer that's here. They're going to be visiting your website. Okay. This is your website that I'm about to visit here. So I'm simply going to post a comment. I'm the attacker.
Okay.
And I'm simply going to post a comment here that essentially just basically in HTML says go and visit Keytron's website. Now, I'm not going to do this in JavaScript or anything complex. I want to show you just how simple it is. If you took a 30-minute introduction to HTML class, you would learn how to do iframes. So it's basically saying this, and I'm just saying point to Keytron's website, which for this demo is at this IP address.
Okay.
And it's listening on that port, and it's going to that URL. All right, so that's all I'm saying there. and I'm going to sign the guest book. All right, so
Okay.
I put my comment on your website there. Maybe I need my login timed out. Yeah.
And so this would be something that would commonly kind of be on, a smaller company's website is, send us a message or leave us a note or that sort of thing.
Yeah. Anywhere where you're allowing a customer to put, feedback or anything like that. And another place that this is commonly done, or where you commonly see it happen, is on companies' Facebook pages, right? So
Okay.
I'll post something on the Infosec or Camille's Facebook page that'll be like, hey, look at this video of someone taking a class at Camille's training. And it
Hmm.
won't actually be a video of that. It'll be a video of that, but also on that same website, there's an iframe like this that points to Keytron's bad site. Because you can't really post bad code on Facebook, but what you can post is links to other pages, right?
Right.
So that's another common way that you see this actually play out. So as you can see, the iframe posted. Now, this is your website, Camille, that I just posted
Hmm.
this comment on. All right. On the surface, it looks harmless. So now one of your customers is going to go and visit that same site. So they log into their account on, well, as soon as I get the IP address right here. So they log into Camille's Trinket website. They go and visit the same page that I posted on. And just from visiting that page, right? Just from
Hmm.
visiting that page, they've loaded my iframe here. Just from loading that iframe, they've pulled malicious code from Keytron's malicious site into their browser session. And because of that, what's happening on the attacker side is the following. Now on Keytron's machine, I've actually got control of your site, of your customer's computer here as a visitor.
Sure. Wow.
So now as this thing is loading that you see here, it's sending stage, which means it's sending some malicious payload. Now I've got what we call an interpreter session, which means I own that machine now, because at this point I can connect to that session. I can now do things like take a screenshot of your customer's machine, right? I can see what's on their screen.
And so that might be if they were entering payment to pay for one of my trinkets or something, you'd take a screenshot of that and have their credit card info.
Absolutely. Or I just might do this. I might say run keylogger,
Mm.
because I'm essentially in their machine now. So if I ran that, all right, what that customer might do, so not only entering payment on your site, but let's say they go to their Chase account or their Bank of America account or whatever. Let's just go play. That's a good question. So let's just go play customer one more time. So we're
Sure.
going to visit another site. I'm going to open up Chrome here, and we're going to go to our Chase Bank account. And I'm going to sign in. Put in my username.
Password is 12345, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I
Good.
log
Yeah,
in,
it's a good one.
and I know all the attendees are like, is he going to really give us his password? Absolutely not. So we just logged in our Chase account here. I put in the wrong information, but pretend we did put in the right information. So
Right.
we just logged in. Well, guess what the attacker gets to see? Back on the attacker screen, all right, since he's having these keystrokes logged to his computer, he can actually just go and open this file here. So I'm just going to open another terminal here and go read that actual file. And there's all those keystrokes. So we can see where they went to chase.com. We can say they logged in with the username of Keytron. And then we can see the password is not a chance, as in not a chance I'm going to give it to you.
That's a good password.
Yeah, absolutely. So now everything that that person types, everything that they do, I can record it right here and have that information. Not only that, I could literally drop into that machine and run commands. Like I could go, just give me the name of like one participant in the webinar, like just the first name.
Let's see, Jacob. See a question from him that we'll get to in a minute here, but let's use Jacob.
All right, so I'm just gonna make a directory on the desktop named Jacob, and I'm gonna create a text file. It says hello Jake, and put that right on the desktop as well. So now, just to prove that we have control of the machine, if we go back and play customer again and look at the desktop, you can see there's a folder named Jacob there.
Oh yeah.
So we did do that, and there should be a text file too. I might have fat fingered the command on that, which is, something that happens commonly with me. Let's see here. Yeah. So anyway, we did all those things. We got the screenshot. We got your login to your bank account. Pretty much, we own your computer at this point. And if you look at it from the standpoint of how we started, remember the point was this is not happening to you, Camille. This is happening to your customers.
Right.
Like
And I might
any of
not
your
even know this is happening.
may not even know. So all of your customers that are visiting your site, this could be potentially happening to them because you have a cross-site scripting vulnerability. And what makes it even worse is instead of having this sent to Keytron's bad site on a little web server that Keytron's got on his portal, guess where this ends up being? Now what they're doing is they're putting their malicious websites in places like AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, So in other words, Keytron's malicious websites lives at aws.amazon.com, or something like that, which is
Sure.
what you're used to seeing anyway. I mean, if you've ever watched Netflix, you stream stuff from aws.amazon.com. So now they're hiding kind of in plain sight by utilizing cloud services to where this cross-site scripting vulnerability that's exploited now points to somewhere in AWS or somewhere in Google or somewhere in Microsoft Azure, which makes it harder for you to track it if you're investigating this attack. So that's kind of some of the things that we're teaching in the ethical hacking and the pen test plus
Right.
courses to make it to where not only as a student, will you have the ability to go out and do these things, but you also increase your ability to demonstrate and explain to your customer what is actually going on versus just giving them a report. Because one of the things that happens in this industry a lot of times is we're so busy impressing each other that we forget about who we're supposed to be doing the service for, right? Like the pen test report looks like magic to another pen tester, but to that customer that's absorbing that report, they don't know heads or tails of what any of that means. So just taking 5 minutes for me to do a demonstration like this for a customer versus 100 pages of explaining it is worth the effort because I get that customer over and over and over again because they understand now, what it is.
Right. And I think that's so important, the way you said understanding and being able to learn and teach. So I know you touched on that earlier, but I think the soft skills of cybersecurity is where you're working a lot of times with people who don't know what's going on. They're very frightened of, am I being hacked? What is happening? That sort of thing. The way that you were able to explain this, to myself, who is not very technical, made sense. And I think that that's what's really important is, not only can you pass the exam and say, yes, this is the right answer, but then you can say, this is the right answer because this is how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's it for the demo if you want to take control back here.
Yeah, that'll be great. Thank you. That was really interesting, and I think it gave a good showing of, just how easy it is for someone to, unfortunately, take advantage of someone's website or someone's, different things that they own. So thank you.